Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out a fun little physics game called Tamachang Escape. A very simple premise, but in fact you're probably going to understand how to play it in less than a minute. So let's just jump right into it, and I'll show you the first level, and we'll see if perhaps I may be able to make it through the whole game in this relatively short video. So essentially there are only a few controls that you need to know about. You actually play as the silver ball in the center, who is actually firing laser beams at this ball with the little face on it. Now our goal in this entire game is to escape this orange cylinder, essentially. We start in the safe white zone, and then we want to try and shoot this little ball as far away as we can outside of the orange cylinder that is, encapsulating the white cylinder. And essentially all we have to do that with is this laser beam. Now it automatically tracks the ball as it moves around, and what we need to do is try and come up with a combo of shooting the laser at the ball in such a way as to give it enough momentum to bounce outside of the spheres that we're stuck within. Now we can click any speed that we want. We can start shooting the junk out of this little ball. It's not really going to help our cause very much, though. So we've got to come up with a combination of little shots and then charge shots, which we can get by just holding down the mouse click to try and generate as much power as possible. Now, when the ball is closer to the laser shooter, or in this case, it almost feels like the drones that, Luke Skywalker was fighting when he was learning how to use a lightsaber. I sort of have that in mind when I'm using it. So we want to get the thing as close as possible and then give it a big old shot, and hopefully that should kick it over the wall. And in this case, it actually luckily did. So that counts as an escape. That level is now unlocked and finished, and then we can move on to the next challenge. And they get progressively harder as you go, culminating in a level that I was not actually able to solve, and I think that is the 10th level. The only other control we need to know about, it actually says all this stuff right below the game in the Unity web player, as we can actually change our camera angles with the 1 through 3 keys. So we can actually get like a ball cam, so it basically centers directly on the ball, and then we can get a couple of other ones, different angles, close and far. The number 1 shot is generally pretty much fine. So really all we need to do is just learn how to properly manipulate this ball to give it enough velocity to just kick it out of that thing. So that's really all we need to learn. There's not much else to it. Beyond that, it's just fun. I don't know, there's something about bouncing this thing around. It's just enjoyable. And the other caveat that you should know about is once the ball leaves the safe zone, meaning the white cylinder, you cannot shoot at it anymore. But up until the moment it crosses that threshold, you still can. So if you want to get a last-minute laser burst in, that would be the time to do so, and you can hopefully get it in right at the right second to give it that last little bit of momentum to kick it over that last edge. Now this is a situation where you do perhaps need to see it from another angle, because I believe the wall on the interior side, the closer one to the camera, yeah, that's actually solid, despite it looking cut away. That's just for the sake of us to be able to see, but I don't believe that there is actually a window on that side, maybe? Or is there? Oh, it just doesn't show it from any side. Okay, so I guess it is just an invisible wall through and through, and pardon for the possible motion sickness you may have just undertook from that little jaunt. So let's see if we can center it in front of a window. No, that didn't quite work out. I'm going to center it in front of a window and then give it a big blast. And that's going to be easier said than done with this. Get it kicked up in the air. I'm really glad we don't have to actually... Oh, that's nowhere near working. I'm glad we don't have to control the actual laser blaster, because that would have made this nearly impossible. But, the way it works is just pretty much fine. It's a very simple premise. The art style is also very simple. It almost is not noteworthy to the extent that I don't even feel like it really plays a role. It's just it's functional, and that's really all it needs to be. Oh, that could have worked if I would have waited a split second longer. This is sort of just like a physics-driven, weird alternative golf-style game, and I really like it. I actually would love to play like 100 levels of this for some reason. I'm not sure quite why it's so fun to me, but just the way you interact with this ball is a thing that I haven't really seen done before. And the music also completely lulls me into a trance. It feels very much like I'm playing Super Monkey Ball. It's got that sort of like upbeat quality to it that's just enjoyable, sort of like you're in a happy waiting room or something, like you're in an elevator or wait a minute, I don't know if that's quite right. Why did I get such a crazy lift on that shot? Apparently I like glitched through the wall or something, because I'm pretty sure that was a solid wall that I hit through. But that would be a home run. I'm not sure I've ever had one fly quite that far before, although I've had a couple that were pretty close. This one actually involves a little bit of strategy. So in this case, we've got to get it right on the correct moment in the bounce so we can tap it a little bit and have it not fly over the wall. The other option is, I suppose, you just wait for it to stop bouncing quite so much. The thing behaves a little bit like a ping pong ball, so if you just give it some time, well, super elastic ping pong ball, I guess, and maybe that actually isn't right. Why don't we just give it a bigger kick and see what that does? The way I remembered solving this a moment ago is I just wait for it. Oh, there we go. Use it like a super ball. The way I did it the first time, and I just did a retry on that, was I basically just kicked it into the little wall, and then once it bounced towards the laser gun, I used that to give it even more momentum, and I shot it off into space. I almost hit retry there, too. Alright, so now we've got some random boxes. Not sure exactly how we're going to manipulate the ball with these in the way, and we'll probably screw it up a few times. But this is, it's an interesting premise in that it's so easy to probably make levels for this. Like, I can imagine there being, oh, I didn't even notice that those walls were there the first time I did this. But I can imagine there being not that much difficulty with, like, implementing extra levels or improving it, adding more stuff to it later on. So I'd kind of wonder, like, what if you made a golf green, essentially, like a really big old golf course, out of this concept, where every time instead of putting the ball, you have to escape this box and try and get out of the cylinder, and then the further you get it in the right direction, the closer you are to a goal or a safe zone, which ends up being your long-term goal. So you're actually basically playing golf with it in this element by using momentum generated from bouncing things around. So it would be very hard to necessarily control exactly where the ball ends up going long-term, but I still think it could be really fun if you get really good at it. Also strange that the ball has such, like, this little face on it. Almost gives it character, and this game is almost devoid of, well, this seems like a mean thing to say. I don't mean it this way, but it almost seems a little bit devoid of personality in that the art assets are mostly so functional. They're really not so focused on form. So there's the fact that this little ball has a face on it is like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's more to this story than I'm aware of. And then you get the music that lulls you into this trance. You're like, there seems to be something going on here, and it feels a lot like a Sega game to me for some reason. Like I said, Monkey Ball certainly comes to mind. Certainly not as difficult as Monkey Ball by any means or stretch of the imagination, though. Would be nice if you could map retry to R, though, because I do have to retry quite often, and it is a little disconcerting having to move the button, or move the mouse cursor over to the button each time. Oh, that was a mega shot that did not work quite well. Also, very satisfying sound effects on the laser cannon as well. That could be good. Oh, is that good? Oh, we barely cleared. That was about as close as you could possibly get and still get an escape on that one. And now we've entered the fractured landscape of whatever the junk this is. I don't honestly know. This game almost seems like something you would play in Adventure Time to me, which I really enjoy quite a bit. Let's kick the ball around. I could also see some really interesting scenarios with landscapes that are made up of, like, different obstacles that could have themes to them. Maybe you go to an ice zone, a fire zone, the usual elemental zone. Maybe there could be, like, a kitten zone or something really weird. You know, like random stuff you find around the house zone. And despite the fact that the ball bounced back into the safe area, I'm still not allowed to shoot at it again. Once it's left the safe zone, it can never be shot at another time. So if it ends up just going to become dead, just basically sitting right next to the laser cannon, it's out of bounds at that point. It's not going to be doing anything else. Well, I don't remember what my strategy was here. Oh, I think I did a little bit of a tiny, just a little shot there, and then, oh, no, it went up on top of the block. I was hoping it would maybe just bounce up into the side, and then if I could get it to roll around a little bit, then maybe I could give it another kick with a big blast. I think what I ended up doing, though, was bouncing it somehow so it came back toward me. Then I used the arc to turn that into a big spurt of energy. Now, the thing has completely stopped moving as far as I can tell, so let's blast it. Didn't quite make it out, unfortunately. So I'm not sure what the strategy is here, but I do enjoy coming up with the strategies regardless, even if some of them seem a little bit arbitrary at times. Now, that could perhaps play into a larger role of what this game could end up being in terms of, you know, level progression. It would be very difficult to make a difficulty curve for this game, considering how tricky it is just to figure out, like, what the player is going to do, since there's so little in terms of player manipulation of this actual physics object. This is mostly just happening automatically with the exception of when exactly you choose to shoot your laser. So it's a little bit like Peggle, only you don't even have the shot of like where the pachinko ball goes in a way. It's as if the Peggle nozzle was always aimed in the same direction. You just have the, like how hard it's gonna shoot meter or something. So that would sort of take a few of the variables out, which means that you could get some really creative level design if you really want to, because there's so few elements. Like, so maybe the player has to decide exactly at what point in this bounce arc the ball is going to get shot and with what strength. And if you could pull off a really great shot, you might actually be able to pinpoint a really difficult or strange-looking series of events. Like, you could actually have the ball shoot into a tube, because if it's always going to happen at the very height of the jump arc, then you don't really have to worry about trajectory. Does that make sense? It's like we've eliminated so many variables by not letting the player aim anything that we can then use that to kind of circumvent some of the pitfalls of having there be, you know, full player choice. So it's sort of turning what could be a negative into a positive in a way. That's sort of my opinion on it anyway. So I seem to have gotten stuck on this level in the Tamachang escape. I think this is level 9 out of 10 if I'm not mistaken. I think the last one is even harder than this. I could just try and super fire shot at this thing and see if I could maybe get it to build up a little bit more momentum. That didn't quite work. I was going to give it a little kick at the end. Oh, I was a little too late there. It might be a little difficult to judge depth sometimes, but I guess that's what you could use this for. Yeah, look at the face on that. It's almost like the Raise Your Donger's face a little bit. Isn't that silly? Got like a beach ball thing going on. Yeah, that is not going to work like that. It does certainly give you a little bit of better perspective. I could also see maybe allowing the player to hold down like right-click or something over this and move the camera around, but then again, you might just get into more difficulty that way. If the whole thing is designed around having the camera be static, then I guess it's not so bad. Oh, it's too late again. I think we're gonna wrap up the episode on this one. I want to leave the last level for you guys to discover anyway, and see if you can come up with a strategy on how to get through it. It's certainly quite tricky, and maybe there's even more levels than that, and I just didn't see beyond that, so I don't even know. And I saw some kind of contest mode opened up on the main menu after I cleared this level, I think it was anyway. So yeah, let me know what you think of this. It's a fun little, silly, accessible physics game. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's surprisingly easy to get into and just silly and fun. Like, that's really all a game has to be, right? So, we're not getting into deep art critique here. This is just an entertaining and enjoyable game that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope you can get to the end, because that is the thing I'm curious about, if there's more to it than what I saw. So we'll go back to... Oh yeah, I actually got to contest mode right from here. I don't want to click it, though. I'll let you guys figure it out. But yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for another day, guys. Check out the link in the description if you want to play this yourself. I definitely recommend that you do. Feel free to chime in with some comments. Let me know what you thought about it in general. If you were able to beat it, if you had any other thoughts about the concept. And, of course, check out some of my other information in the description as well. My Twitter, my Facebook page, Twitch streaming page, and, of course, indie-impressions.com, where I've got over 700 other videos in the series if you want to go check out all of the myriad other indie games that I've covered. There's pretty much something for just about everyone over there, and they're all sortable and neatly categorized. So if you're looking for a specific type of game, a certain payment style, if you want to just browse the free games, the web browser games, any genres you have in mind, it's all sortable over there. So I will catch you next time, guys. New episodes go up every single day. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider leaving a like and supporting the channel if you can. That's all greatly appreciated, and I will catch you all tomorrow. So I hope you have a lovely night. Talk to you later.